Hello, I'm TheSqueakyMoose, and I'm going to talk to you today about the deck that I am taking to Ultimate Cup. This is the Ultimate Cup with a modified rule set so that your deck is one color. Yes, your cards can have multiple colors, but they need to have one consistent color. So things like X-Antibody are generally out, and leaves a lot of options, and I've been really interested in seeing what people are going to bring. And I've been messing around with this deck a bit, and I think that it has a shot at taking down some of the threats and maybe having a good time. That's what I'm really interested in. So we'll start with the eggs. We're running 4 Digimon, and this should signal to you that we're either playing green hybrid or, in this case, we're playing Jijimon. So this card is the obvious choice. It's going to get you so many draws because you're playing so many tamers. With Mimi, you consistently have 2 of these out, which will mean that you're just drawing all the time, making sure that you see your pieces that you want. But you do need another 1 because you will run low very often. And for that, I think Koromon is the obvious pick. Yes, there are some other options, but I think Koromon helps you set up your plays. So you can just Digivolve onto this as a level 3, push out, swing, and then use another stack to be able to go into Jijimon and make sure that you're getting a tamer, or make sure that you're setting up a Digimon that you want with the when attacking effect. So I think Koromon is super useful in that regard. So starting off our level 3s, we see Agumon. Agumon is a fantastic searcher, and his inheritable is really good as well. So you don't always have to use this to search. And in fact, a lot of the times I'd recommend you don't. You just have to think, do you have the Digimon that you want? There's a good chance that you end up whiffing those to the bottom of the deck because you grab a tamer and then go past the Digimon, and now you have to start searching for that again. So just keep that in mind when you're using this to search. Then we have 4 of the EX2 Terriermon. EX2 Terriermon is super useful. I find myself often hard playing this on turn 1 because you can move out from raising and then Digivolve into Tyrannomon, play a tamer which will then gain you a memory from this effect. It's super beneficial, and the inheritable is really good because you're getting plus 2000 DP, and that will come up in a few different cases, and we'll talk about that as we go. I'll just leave this guy out here for a second because we're also running Bt11 Angoramon. So this Angoramon is essentially Terriermon but for draw. The inheritable isn't as good. It's just when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw 1 on your turn. We have a few effects that can do that. And when you do get that, it's often better to have the Terriermon inheritable just to be able to have that DP boost. But this is still good. It's still a really good card. I just think that it's a 3 of, not a 4 of, that's all. Lastly, for our level 3s, we're running 2 of the Terriermon memory blockers. You could run the Pomomon to try and stop your opponent from playing Digimon by effects. Because it can stop you from playing Digimon by effects, that's not great. So I think this Terriermon is the obvious choice, especially with some of the other picks that we're going for in the deck. Playing this off of Jijimon's effect is also going to be super useful against some of your matchups. 2 of is just staple. You could potentially go for more, but you do risk cutting into your consistency. Rapidmon is the reason why we are running such a high Terriermon count instead of maybe running more Angoramon, but we're only running 1, and I think that this is the right number. I think that this is just a useful tech, and because you're playing so many tamers, you're going to be able to spend a lot of things, minus 5,000 from a lot of things. This will blow out an opponent in a lot of cases, especially if you have the Terriermon inheritable, to make it 8,000 DP, you can then swing into something good. So if they've got a boss monster out that's at 12,000 DP, minus 5,000, it's going to be at 8,000, then you can swing and trade, and then armor purge, and you still have something, and they've lost their boss monster, and that's really value. The next staple of the deck is Tyrannomon. I think he's really good. I think that with Jijimon, he is just an absolute staple card. I wouldn't recommend running this any less than 4. And you can Digivolve for 2 on top of him if you have the Terriermon out on the field, because he'll play a tamer, and then the Terriermon will gain you a memory. Not only are you playing a 3-cost tamer by Digivolving, you're also doing it for 2 cost. So that's just super value, and you're going to see that pretty consistently. Next, I'm going to talk about these 2 cards together because they fill the same kind of slot in my mind. Yes, Kabuterimon has blocker. Both of these guys are essentially just enablers getting into your level 5s sooner. So Kabuterimon, Digivolve for 1, Digivolve into your level 5 straight away, because you're always going to at least have 1 on your turn. Gargomon is more of a setup, more something that you keep in raising for a turn after, because you can leave him in raising, play a tamer, and then when you would Digivolve, you can reduce the cost by 1 if you have a green tamer in play. So essentially, Kabuterimon is for like an immediate reduction, Gargomon is for that kind of like setup reduction. And that just means that we're at least spending 1 less both ways, because it's going to cost 5 to go into Kabuterimon and then into, say, Metal Tyrannomon, and it's only going to cost 5 to go into Gargomon and then Metal Tyrannomon. So that just kind of helps with the consistency. You can play with these levels a bit depending on what you see, but I think the Kabuterimon is definitely good to have that blocker in the deck, and the Gargomon's good because you get that plus 2000 DP inheritable, so you can actually start swinging quite high with even your level 5s. The last tech card is Metal Kabuterimon. You play a lot of tamers, so it makes sense to hybrid for game. Metal Kabuterimon's here to just kind of help you draw a bit more if you need to. And I'm only running 1 of because a lot of the time your tamers are suspended. But you just keep that in mind when you're thinking about it. If you've got it in hand or if you're kind of expecting to see it, just make sure that you've got a tamer unsuspended to be able to swing for game. Start off our level 5s, we have Metal Tyrannomon from the new set. This is really, really useful because you are going to be able to save yourself a lot of games. If they already have a big threat on the field, you can suspend things and start swinging into them. You can also just make sure that one thing doesn't unsuspend. So this is going to definitely come in clutch a lot of the time. And because like the Tyrannomon, it's when Digivolving and on play are the same. You can play this from Jijimon's effect and just make sure that you have a suspended board to be able to remove from. And if you have the Panchaya effect by chance underneath it, he'll have Rush, so he'll be able to swing straight away. So it's really good. And I did already say it, but Panjayamon is another super clutch card. This is standing in the Ultimate Cup for me instead of Mamemon. I really like Mamemon for the ability to search the top of the deck and get a tamer from that rather than needing it in hand. But it's just a trade-off. The inheritable giving Rush is quite good as well. It's just maybe better to have blocker from Mamemon. But for Ultimate Cup, Panjayamon, super useful card. Being able to make sure that you can play a tamer from hand is very valuable, especially if you've got some of the other Digimon out to draw cards and gain memory. So absolutely running that at 4. Finally, getting into our boss monsters, we have Jijimon. I really like Jijimon. He's a really fun card because you get to play tamers and then swing and generally get a lot of Digimon out and go wide. And this is going to be really good in this format, I think, because you don't have that punishment of Death X being there. So I think taking advantage of this while we can is going to be really good. And he's not your finisher, and really this deck does technically lack the finishing power in like 1 turn. But being able to just get out enough of a wide board to kind of set up for the next turn, if you can have him on board for 2 turns, I think generally that's going to secure you the win. Then we have 2 Rust Tyrannomon. Ooh, I really like Rust Tyrannomon. I really like Rust Tyrannomon with the Metal Tyrannomon inheritable. So there's 2 ideal stacks that I'll show you at the end. But the Rust Tyrannomon being able to swing into something, unsuspend, trash the security, and then swing again. Oh, that's super valuable. I think that he's a great boss monster for this deck. I think that you don't want to run any more than 2 of him. You could potentially push it up to 3, but at that point, I think that you're missing out on some other tech options that might be really good for the format as well. Speaking of tech options, it's Bt5 Agumon. I think that this is going to come up more times than not. Being able to Digizorb as well after playing a Jijimon, playing a level 5 if you've got it, then going into this for only 2 is going to be hyper useful. Suspending all your opponent's tamers, making sure they don't unsuspend. All Force is going to be impacted by this. just making sure that they can't do any extra effects, extra draw to try and get that kind of consistency out. So I think Agumon is a tech. If you see him in a game, great. If you don't see him, you're not too worried. Getting into the tamers, we have 2 of Mimi. I think 2 of Mimi kind of has become a bit of a meme in the green format. There's not many other good memory setters that just do as much as Mimi does. You could push this up to 3. I've thought about it, even 4, but I think that that is greedy, and I don't think that you should do it. But honestly, if you have 4 of these out, you could potentially hatch and then push out and then hatch and push out twice. The amount of tamers that you can get out with this deck is quite absurd. So 2 Mimis, super useful. Then we have a card that not many people will remember, which is Bt2 Tiger. Just to remind you, this is all of your Tyrannomon have piercing on your turn, and when you Digivolve on your turn into a Tyrannomon, you can suspend him to reduce the cost by 1. So this can even be very good in the early cards or early days to just play out, because then you can Digivolve into Tyrannomon for 2, play out a Tamer, which would then enable you to go into, maybe if you play another one, go into Metal Tyrannomon for less. So it's just really good to accelerate you, and I think that this really plays into that kind of green ramp play style. Then we have the counterpart, Bt11 Tiger. So this is a really great card. I think the DP boost is great on your turn. Just remember that you're not going to have that on your opponent's turn, which means that they can swing into it if they do get up high enough. Also, the ability to reduce the Digi-Evolution cost when you go into level 5 or 6 by suspending him is huge. It's going to accelerate your plays by an insane amount. So I think if you run this any less than 4, you're crazy. The last 2 tamers we're running is Mimi and Jokido. This is a real flex spot. You could run Mimi and Izzy so that you can gain 2 memory if they've got a suspended Digimon, and then do the gacha plays by suspending and attacking with a level 5. But most of the time you want the when attacking effects of the Jijimon, and you're going to miss that if you use the gacha effect. So I think this is great for just being able to make sure that you're drawing a bit more, and a lot of the time your opponent's going to have something suspended, you'll have something suspended, you can gain 2 memory. Finish off the deck, we have 2 poison powders. Now I've tried playing Grendel Soul, and I've tried like some memory boosts in the deck and a few different things, and it just didn't feel like they were doing enough. So I haven't play tested this a lot, but I think that this is going to really help in those matchups where people start Beyblading their cards and just unspending and swinging over and over again. So All Force and Blue Flare are likely going to not like me playing this for 2 and then just passing turn. So I'm hoping that that helps in the matchup. There's a chance as well that we just go up against, you know, a Machine Dramon player or something like that, or something that builds a big stack, and that's just it. So I just want to talk quickly about some of the plays that you can do once you get into your boss stack, because it might be a little bit ambiguous and it can go a bit crazy as well. So say you've got a stack like this. Currently, Panjayamon would be at plus 1,000 from Tiger and then plus 4,000 from his own inheritables. So he's going to be sitting at 12,000 straight away. Let's Digivolve into Jijimon, draw a card, suspend Tiger, so rather than costing 3, it only costs 2, which leaves you at 1 memory. Digimon will then reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. You can play 1 tamer from among them. So let's just say we play another Tiger. That will then draw us a card from the Tanomon ability, and we now have 3 cards to be able to search with his when attacking effect. So we're going to swing. We're going to reveal the top 3 cards of the deck. Hypothetically, can go one of 2 ways, and I'm just going to talk about optimal ways. Let's say we go into Metal Tyrannomon. Metal Tyrannomon is then going to suspend 3 things, make sure 1 thing doesn't unsuspend, and he will also have Rush from Panjayamon's inheritable. You do get to choose what gets it if you play multiple things, so say Metal Tyrannomon. Rust Tyrannomon is going to be an obvious choice to go on top of Metal Tyrannomon, because it's going to now Digivolve for a cost of 1 if you suspend the Tiger. So it's 1 less for each tamer you have, and then Tiger can make it cost 1 less. He's got Rush. he's suspended something, or multiple things, can swing into that, and then the inheritable from Metal Tyrannomon is going to allow you to trash the top card of security. Also note, if your opponent swings into Rust Tyrannomon on their turn, you will trash the top card of their security and unsuspend. They might just want to delete their own Digimon if they're playing purple or something like that. So just remember, if you do beat them in battle, you do trash the top card of security. The other possibility, instead of Metal Tyrannomon, is that you get a Pangiamon, and you can also play another level 3. As long as it's 3 cost, you can play it. Pangiamon is going to allow you to maybe go into, say, a Rust Tyrannomon. Doesn't matter too much if it's rusty. And you can swing because you have Rush. And then if you swing into something and unsuspend, you can swing again. So this can work quite well. But if you can go into another Jijimon, then that's going to be really good. It is going to cost you at least 3, or if you've, done the Jijimon effect, we've got this, it's going to cost you 2. But that's still going to pass turn unless you had 1 extra memory. So you can Digivolve into the Jijimon and just kind of make sure that you have a second stack. Just remember that they're both going to be at the same play cost. So if they have something that says delete something at the lowest play cost, that's going to hit both of your guys unless you do have the level 3 out. So there's a few different things that can happen there, but hypothetically you have 4 memory, you go into another Jijimon, you play another Tamer, you swing again. You can then play another 4 things out, or however many that you see off the top of your deck. So it gets very wide very quickly. But that's the deck. I think that Jijimon is going to be a lot of fun. I hope that I don't just get stomped in the first couple of rounds and then drop. Generally I play to the end, but sometimes these tournaments can be pretty soul crushing. So here's the deck list in full. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you would change, and I'll probably do a recap and say what I have experienced in Ultimate Cup and what worked well and what didn't. Leave a like if you liked the list and the video, and we'll see you next time.